All right. Well, welcome everybody to Breaching the Boardroom. I am your host, David Morrow, and in the studio today is Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie Johnson has overcome some challenges, rose through the ranks, having served as a COO, and is now serving as the CEO of Ackland Avenue, which is an incredibly successful Nashville, Tennessee-based company founded in 2010 by Colin Callahan and Byron Summerdahl, who delivers software and product development in a unique manner, leveraging a vast network of talent from over 21 countries, employing nearly 200 team members. They have a unique approach to agile management with a strong culture and leadership philosophy. Very excited about hearing more, so let's dive in. Stephanie, welcome to the studio. Did you like that intro? Was that okay? I can join all of your Teams and Zoom meetings, like at work, and just intro you that way if you want. Okay. So tell us about yourself and when you were growing up, did you always want to be the head of a software development and product development company? Because my guess is no. So how did you get here?
First, I'd want to know, did you ever get any yeses? Somebody who just wakes up and goes, "This is what I'm going to do with my life."
I did actually, and it was a physician. So it was somebody who, like, from a young age, something actually happened in their young age to a loved one that they knew. And from like age 9 on, they knew they wanted to do that. Very impressive. I
It,
certainly wasn't like that. And most people I know are not like that.
my
So,
uh, my father reminds me of a story that I told him when I was really little, and it was when he asked me what I wanted to do. I believe that I said I wanted to be an engineer, a model, and a doctor. An
oh, there
engineer,
you go.
a model, and a doctor, because I have very strong aunts. So I have an aunt
Yes.
who's an engineer. I don't have anyone who's a doctor, but I loved healthcare, and I loved healthcare. First of all, was my first love, and then my
Yeah.
second love became technology. And
Right.
so I had, you said, to tell you a little bit about me is
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that was really that happened in my life early that kind of prevented me, I think, from becoming a doctor, was that I had kids really early. So at 14, I was pregnant. I had a baby at 15, and I had kids after that, and so I was really struggling just trying to get my education in the first place. But that's what I always wanted to do. I accomplished one of that list, so I was a model. Um, but I loved healthcare. I knew I couldn't be a doctor, but as soon as that I figured out that you could do that technology was a big part of healthcare, the two things, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. Technology is really, it's one of those democratizing platforms, right? In industries where people from other industries migrate into it because of their passion for the technology,
Yes.
and then they're able to advance. And what a remarkable story to have children young, right? And so often, right, there's a view of that, right, in
Yeah.
society, and they're like, oh, they probably, now their life is, it's not going to work out because they did that. And I know so many that prove that opposite, and you're living breathing example of it, right?
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely, absolutely. I think, my I know that when my dad found out I was pregnant, he talked to me for a year. And I'm pretty sure that they probably thought I was like, if you're a parent, they're just going down the wrong path type of thing. But I never had that view of myself. My view
Good.
of myself was that, hey, this thing happened. I made some terrible choices, but this doesn't define me, and it never has in my mind. But
Yeah, and it's not a terrible choice. It's just a choice within that context, right? Like, and it's life. Life happens.
yeah, my best friend Tamika is the chief financial officer. She puts it very, like, we kind of grew our careers together, and she puts it in perspective for me. She said, "Stephanie, everybody was doing that stuff. You're the only one that got caught."
Exactly.
Like, it's not
Right.
like we weren't all out there doing stuff, but
Right.
yeah, things happen, and so, but that just never was how I viewed myself. But to your point before, I know that people viewed me that way, and it made it like I've had a lot of no's in my career, right,
Yep.
in my life, but that just never how I viewed myself. And I think it's important that you understand you, And because if you do, you won't let anything stand in your way, not judgment or anything.
I that really resonates because when I think about it, there's so many people that told me I couldn't do or tell people that they can't do that or they won't achieve that or the rules are this and you're not going to be able to do that. And I heard somebody years ago say, like, it depends on what I answer to. Like, just because they say it, I could take that as gospel and like believe what they're saying. And then it's a self fulfilling prophecy. Or I can say, I respect your opinion, but I'm me and I don't agree. Like, I'm still going this way. This is just a fork in the road, and I'm still traveling in the same direction. And I've met so many people that rule applies, and they're like, I just don't answer to that. They might call me that, but I don't answer that. I don't identify with that.
Yeah, I didn't either. It's a lot tougher when you're younger to kind of ignore those type of things
It is.
coming from adults. People are, are in their careers, or they just, they always do that backwards calculation, and it kind of let me know not to really share a lot of my personal life early on. So I wouldn't talk about the kids because they would do the calculation and then calculate back, and then you could just see it in their eyes a shift. But it also, like, even experiencing that has been good because the things that you go through, you tend not to repeat them because you know what it feels like, right?
Right.
So I know what that feels like. So I try not to do that to anyone.
Well, it's good to mentor others too,
Yeah. I don't
because
do
you could
that
be
for
like, hey, you can do it. And you see me and you could still reach your dreams and do it. But let me tell you about the fork of the road that I had to go down to
Yeah,
get here. And it would be a lot easier on you if you don't take that off
absolutely.
road. Right.
But it's also important to let people know. Like, I feel like I did this exercise once with a high school class where
Hmm.
I went. They asked me to come speak at the class. I went to the class, and I said, okay. I split them up, I think, into 3 groups, and I said, we're going to tell stories today. The first story that you're going to tell to me is, um, you can ask 3 probing questions, but I want you to tell me my life. Tell me what you think my life is, right? And all they have to go on, of course, I didn't say this, but all they have to go on is how I look. And they came up with fantastic things, man. I
Really?
on their thing, on their board, I looked fantastic. I was just like, great. And so, like, they all did it. And then I went and told my story. And they were just like floored because the lesson is that everyone has a story. And it's not
Right.
probably be anything what you think it is. And they looked at me and they thought, oh, she's got her life all figured out. She's doing this thing because of a title or, whatever. Like, they asked me things like, what car do you drive? What is your job? And so the lesson was, you cannot ever judge a book by its cover. And you should, if you are like me, if you have a story like me, you have a way out. Like, you don't let anyone define who you are. And that was kind of I think it's important that people understand that, when they see me, there's a lot of layers underneath. And that's kind of how I approach everybody else. It's like, oh no, they definitely have a story and I want to know what it is.
Yeah. And I think that's a great lesson. And I always kind of coach my kids too, like, if we're like even little things, like if you're in traffic or somebody's rude to you or like somebody's trying to cut in, I'm like, just let them, man. You don't know if they're coming from a cancer treatment or if they have
Yeah.
a personal thing. Like, you don't know their story. Just let them in. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, we'll get there 30 seconds later. Like, just,
Right. I do the same.
just have some perspective, right?
Yeah, I do the same. If you have, like, people have bad days or they're going through tough things,
Yeah,
right? It's going to affect them. So give them a little grace.
that's really great. So you put yourself through school. You got your MBA too, didn't you?
I did
Wow.
while I was
Okay.
working. So it's an interesting story, because I had to kind of stumble my way to college graduation, given the fact that I had, 2 kids, that I was trying to juggle at the time. And
I
so,
didn't have those challenges, and I still stumbled my way to college
well, I
graduation. So
stumbled
don't worry
quite
about
a bit.
that.
It's a whole different shift. So it's like, where
Yes.
people can go, oh, I can take all 4 of my classes. I could take one or two at a time. And like if they were
Right.
when they started having night classes, I was like, this is fantastic. So I could do that. Um,
Hmm.
but like I stumbled through and I honestly didn't graduate college until I was 30 years old.
Yeah,
30.
but there's nothing. That's great. I
Yeah.
think that's
I
great.
mean, if you look at my graduation picture, there was so much joy on my face. But immediately
Yeah.
after I walked across that stage, I was like, I got to go get my MBA.
Yeah.
So I graduated at 30 years old. I had been to college before, had a scholarship playing softball, and got pregnant. So but like those things, like every little thing, every little win that I was able to achieve, just let me know that I could achieve it. And so if I could go and get a scholarship in college playing softball because I was good at softball, then I was like, okay, then I could do anything. And so like, I got pregnant. I had to step out of that. I was trying to find a job. I think I got to Nashville here in like when I was about 22 or 23 years old. So I found a little job. I'm telling you, I've been at the very bottom. I was just answering phones. That's all I was doing. And then I worked my way up through that organization as well. So yeah, I got my MBA at the same time that I found my first career job. They were very supportive of me going to school. At the time my CEO came to my graduation.
Wow, that's great.
I thought that was the coolest thing
That
ever.
is that is a really remarkable thing,
Yeah.
actually.
And so I then right after that, I started my MBA while I was on the road. I had gotten promoted recently into a VP of business development at the time and just was on the road. But, I'd stop, I'd be at a conference or something like that. And I would, you know, do my job there, go back into my room, do my lessons or take my tests or write my papers, be up till 2 o'clock in the morning, do it all over again. So like, it's just a lot of I just had a lot of desire to get my education so that no one could tell me that no, that I didn't have enough education. I used to get
Yeah.
turned
And
down for jobs because they tell me didn't have enough education, so I never got a foot in the door.
let me ask you about mentorship. I mean, how do you view mentorship? I would think somebody that has achieved what you've achieved and overcome the challenges you have would have great insight for
Yeah.
younger professionals or younger people feeling lost because they got married young, they had kids young, or they
Yeah.
haven't finished school yet and all they're 26. And like to me, I'm older now, but I look at that and I'm like, so what? Like
So
that's
what?
forget the number. Like
Yeah.
get the degree. Like just focus on when I hear you talk, I hear you had your eye on the prize. Whatever life was throwing you, you kept your eye on it. You didn't go, oh, woe is me, and just,
So
settle into something less. You were driven.
I'm a very driven person even today, but my view of mentorship, the thing that I love the most about my job is that I get to influence people. And like when they go on and do great things personally, I got to be a part of that in some small way, and then they're gonna go on and do things. So like if you work with me, you're probably getting mentored. Even if like anybody on my senior leadership team on down to anybody at our organization, if you talk to me about something, you bring it, I'm gonna give you a different perspective because I show up as myself at jobs these days. I've earned it. And so I also
You don't worry about stepping on toes and being politically correct or being like, look, I have to tell you the way it is. It may hurt your feelings or it may not, but like to get what you're trying to get done, here's the steps you got to take. There's no way around it, right?
yes, or it's the opposite sometimes where people think
Hmm.
they can't do something, and I'm telling you, you can.
Right.
So to me, it's more of that. It's like you don't know a story. Like I did this talk too at the Girl Scouts, and they have these tables, and I got a group of 12 girls or whatever sitting at the table talking about career possibilities. And when the minute that I said, "Hey, listen, y'all, I was pregnant when I was 15," two of those girls were like, "I have babies too." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Oh.
that's great." I said, you could still accomplish what you need to. Let me tell you my story. And it's the story that is the inspiration. It's
Hmm.
somebody who is in a similar role or similar situation as you that you can find. Like that is what makes people really excited. Because if they find they're literally talking to someone who didn't have it all figured out, who did a lot of stumbling on the way,
Right.
but they still managed to come out of it. And to me, sometimes I wonder why it's such a big deal. I know people are like, "Oh yeah, you're such an inspiration," but I'm not unless I can influence people in a positive way. And so I have been okay as my career started really in the C level as a COO, Chief Operating Officer. And like I love that because I got to touch all types of different divisions, and I like to know things and how it works because that informs me about how it should work and when to make changes. But it's like I, you know, they can do anything. I like being behind the scenes because behind the scenes is really uplifting other people, really. Anybody that comes into my atmosphere, I want to be able to uplift them and help them in some way, prove to them that they can do it, like give them some type of inspiration. And it doesn't have to be on a billboard for me, you know?
Yeah. So it seems like to me, one of your views is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's leaders can measure themselves by the success in developing others,
Yes, absolutely. You may
right?
not even you may not even know, like I might die and not know all the people, but
Right.
those little sparks where you get to talk to them. Like I just had a meeting with a guy that I hired in his 20s when I worked for another company, and now he's running his own sales division, and we're connected and asking questions. And I just
Oh, that's
for the
fantastic.
second he got on that call, I was like, I'm just like, first of all, I'm just so proud of you right now. Like I know that he was a kid when he came to us, really green, had a lot of refinement to do, but look at him today. And that's kind of how I view people. Even when they have issues or problems, we all have them. But if you're good, I feel like what I'm good at is pulling it out of people and letting them know that there's another way through. There's always another way. There's no quit in you. There's no quit in me. Like I'm just going to keep going. I don't, even when we have bad things happen to us, we lose a big deal or whatever, my team is like, nah, we pivot, but we'll be okay. Like you just have to pivot and it might suck a little, but that's okay too. But you never give up. You don't quit. I also coach my youngest daughter is 18, going to be 18. I coach her travel softball team and we have a no quit attitude. Like we don't quit. You might be behind, but we don't quit. We're on you like a tick until it's over.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And like you may lose that game, but you're going to go down fighting,
absolutely.
right?
Yes. And I bring that to work with me every single day.
That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Let me ask you this. So you stepped in as the COO, and how did stepping into the COO role kind of shape your perspective for now being the CEO? Like what are some of the differences from the visibility that you see or the influence that you have between those two roles?
Literally, I never really thought about being a CEO. Maybe tangentially, but like really, I love being a COO. I loved it. So when I got the opportunity to run into that CEO spot, the first thing I thought was once I got into it, started getting my feet wet. It was kind of it's different, which is surprise. Like I was surprised because thinking that, oh no, like the doors are open. I'm a COO, so people,
It's just one letter, right?
it's
You're
one
like an
letter.
O for an E. Like, come on,
Yeah,
like how
no,
much different can it be?
I literally
It,
thought,
it's kind
well,
of different.
it is very different. And once I
It
got
is.
into kind of my whole rhythm, I thought, man, every CEO should be a COO because I feel like I'm at an advantage, right? I'm at an advantage because as a COO, my job is to understand what is going on everywhere and to clear the road for anything that is counter to something else, and also get everybody motivated and doing the right thing at the right time, right, at the right cadence. And so like the whole part of knowing divisions and learning what they do and how they interact with each other, you can't take that away from me. It's foundational, right? So I, as a CEO, that has helped me as I have moved into this different type of leadership role. It's helped me because I don't have, like, I feel like I have no blind spots really. I understand how things go. I understand how people work, right? I understand what will motivate people and what will not motivate people and how to talk to folks, right? So it's like,
So visibility is really key.
right,
Yeah.
it is
Like when you just mentioned, yeah, Yeah, you just mentioned I don't have any blind spots. That's really key, right? You are getting in there, getting to know your direct reports and finding out what their direct reports are telling them so that you have visibility into everything.
And you have to, so in this case, like I was the COO, I'm still kind of sitting in that spot because I haven't hired a new COO. But what I provided for my CEO at the time, Colin Callahan at Ackland, was clarity. Clarity. He, after 3 months, he established that I knew what I was doing, and he just gave me his trust. He allowed me to make decisions that I needed to. He never stood in my way, fully supported, even when I'm pretty sure he was scared about like losing certain people or whatever. He trusted in me, and that makes a difference too. And so that's kind of also how I lead. Is like I want to empower people to make decisions, but they have to understand kind of what we're doing. And as long as we understand what our end goal is, the key is to allow people to make mistakes, allow them, because the mistakes you learn from those. And you have to create this environment in which that's okay, right? You cannot like I had someone I talked to today, one of my C-level folks, she made a mistake and she was telling me like, but what I'm looking for is this. Say key things. One, she brought it to my attention. She told me exactly what happened. She told me exactly what she did. She told me what her mistake was. She told me what the solution would be. And you know what I said to her? Oh man, everybody makes a mistake. But you've given me all the key ingredients to understand that we probably won't have it again, right? What's the core issue that you experienced? Why did it happen? If you can fix that, then everything else is fine. The mistakes will happen, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with mistakes. Like if you can just kind of create that environment too, that environment of it's okay to fail. It's also okay to ask for help if so you don't fail. Like all of those things are what I have created here at Ackland is tell me and talk to me about anything. If you make a mistake, no one's good. I don't care about that. I don't care about pointing the finger. I care about did you get to the root cause so that we don't see it again. That's it.
Right. Well, let me unpack what you just said, because that was pretty powerful, believe it or not. Like you create an environment that it's okay to fail so long as you do it in the right way, right? Like there's accountability in what you said. Like you go, I made the mistake. You own it. And people that don't own it may not belong on the team, maybe, right? Like like, don't be pointing fingers. Don't be saying, oh, this happened. Can you believe Bob did this? No, I don't want to hear that, right? No leader wants to hear that. I want to hear I messed up, but here's my idea of a solution. And if you have a different idea, then you can coach them in a supplemental way too. But oftentimes when they come, that solution is usually the right one. And now they know, and they've already learned from it, but they're owning it. And you've created a safe environment where they're able to take accountability.
Yeah. There have been some big ones, but it doesn't matter. Like think about this. If
big ones are going to happen. Like
they're going to happen.
That is going to happen no matter what, right?
So think about this. If I have worked with someone who spent their time. So if I said I've always been accountable for my own mistakes or shortcomings or anything. I made a few mistakes coming up. If that person spent the time just belittling me because I made the mistake, then you're just wasting time and you're damaging your person, your partner, your employee, or whatever. You're just doing damage. But what happened in 15 minutes was that, okay, they're telling me everything. Now we're on to solutionizing in the 15 minutes. And now we're on to talking about all the other important things too. So you don't need to waste time and you don't need to belittle people because everyone makes a mistake. And when I even on the softball team with the girls, it's like, you are going to make a mistake today. You have 3 seconds to get over it and we're moving on. And so like, I'm not going to harp on it. In the moment, I may be like, oh my God, how did we let that ball go by us? But like, it's not productive. And it doesn't like making people feel terrible is not productive.
No, and it doesn't accomplish anything.
No.
And it's counterintuitive.
Yes.
In an organizational setting, it's counterintuitive to culture, right?
Incredibly.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that and about culture. Would you agree that people can lead regardless of title?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You go
So
from
do you see that in your organization? You see different people on different teams, and you're like, that person's a leader. They
yes,
might not even be leading that team, but we got to keep our eyes on that person. Like you kind of sense it, don't you?
you do sense it, but here's my philosophy is that because I say this a lot at Ackland to people is like you lead where you're at. So it doesn't matter if you're washing windows, lead, be the best, because that's what I did. And I answered
Hmm.
phones. I took my job seriously. I answered those phones. I'm on time. I care about it, right? Because if I don't answer the phones, it in fact impacts somebody else. And even if I'm not getting the attaboys on my back, you still have to know that like it's a personal accountability, a personal work ethic that you have about yourself. And so I think that people can lead in whatever position they're in. And that's what I tell people at Ackland. And I think, you know, and probably one of the first things that I did over the last, 3 years that I've been there is say that. It's like, no, 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 you're leaders where you are. You're leaders where you are. So I care about what you think. I care about if you think it's a problem. If you think it's a problem, it's a problem. Bring it up. Let's surface it. Let's talk about it. And we solve or we say, oh, wait, we have some additional information that might not be as big of a problem. But like the biggest thing is like bring those problems up and it doesn't require me to say it's a problem. It just requires you to say it's a problem. And then we talk it out.
That's phenomenal. When you're addressing culture and employee engagement, because no organization likes attrition, right? Because that just it's so costly and it sets you back, and it's kind of like a bump in the road. It's like a pothole when you're driving. Um, you guys have, I read somewhere, you guys have this help first culture.
Yeah.
Like, how do you maintain that ethos while kind of scaling the company the way you've been doing?
By example,
Mm.
also not just by example, but by supporting them, right? I feel like I didn't set the culture here. Colin did that a long time ago when he first started that business 15 years ago. What I did was enhance the culture, understand the people, what motivates them, what drives them. And I don't do anything that is in opposition to that. I do things to enhance it. And
That-
so, what I
That's
mean,
phenomenal.
yeah, what I mean by that is like when I became a CEO, one of the things I know Colin was like, look, these are my babies. I've been dealing with them. I want to make sure that. And I was like, I view our folks the same way you do with the same care, and I'm adding something to it. Our 88% of our staff are Latin American. They speak Spanish as their first language. So my first speech out to the company as the new CEO was in Spanish.
Really?
Going to learn Spanish and I'm going to continue to learn Spanish, but I want them to know that I see them enough to learn their language. So I would do that speech in Spanish first and in English second. It's the personal sacrifices, I think, that a leader does just to make sure people are good. And I feel like my leader is Colin, and he set a really good example of how he felt about his people and how important they were. And imagine if he didn't and somebody else came in and they don't understand the importance. But I understood it because of how he treated me, and I understood because of how he talked about his folks. So there were things that I had to shore up because we had to scale. I had to let people go that weren't drinking the Kool-Aid, but it wasn't with a hammer. I literally spent a lot of time talking to people and understanding what they did and understanding where the pain points were before I ever said a plan. Right? So making sure that they know that they're heard before I made changes. So like all of these things, like as you mentioned, we are scaling at the same time because that's the only reason I was brought on board at first was to take care of the operational debt, grow the company, make us profitable, scale, right? All scale. But it's not easy. It's a lot of change. It's a lot of emotions, right? For him and for the people that I'm dealing with. But you have to establish trust, and that's what I did. I felt like I'm really quick at establishing trust with people because I will do what I'm saying that I want from other people.
Right. You're leading by example. You're not just pontificating ideal words,
And,
right?
and I'm also saying to my senior leadership, this is how I want us to be as a senior leaders in the org. It's like, this is how I want this trickle down to the rest of the organization. but I don't think I had to build it by myself. My job was to maintain it and improve it and enhance it. And that's
Yeah,
what I expect
that's
from
fantastic.
yeah.
I had a leader tell me this once, and it really resonated with me. And they explained transformation happens at the pace of trust.
Yes.
And it's like so many organizations, the leadership hasn't, they're so far removed, or they haven't established trust, but yet they're expecting transformation, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, if they trust you and your vision is clear and they're on board with it, right?
Yes.
Then you're going to see transformation. You're going to see that development.
Yeah, you will. And think about that. Like, when I come in usually for organizations, I've helped scale 3 other organizations that, went to an exit. It's it's you have to be really good at coming in. Nobody knows who you are or what you can do. And it happens also over time. So I can come in and say, I don't come in to say who I am. I just show who I am. And and then I invite other people to be who they are, right? I don't need fluffy talk. Just talk to me. Just tell me what's going on. And even if it's a criticism of me, I'm okay with that too, because I'm they are not the only people who need to know to improve and to build on their skills and to be called
Right.
out when something isn't hitting right. So my SLT tells me if they're like, hey, we didn't really like that messaging, or hey, or in one-to-one situations, like, I don't understand, like, you told me this thing and then you did this thing. And, I will quickly be like, you know what? I did do that. I did do
Right.
so sorry. Let me write this down because I need to work on it, because I am always a work in progress. I am always open for more knowledge. I am not the smartest person on the planet. There are tons of people who can do my job better than I can, and they have similar hearts or whatever, but we all make up the world and we all have our opportunities, right? We all have the ability to do anything that we want to do. I just, I know that I need to continue to grow all the time and maintain that openness that I've always had, because I'm like, even when I was like younger, I was answering phones. I would ask so many questions of people and like, teach me this, or like, even if I'm working in a job, I started my career kind of as a technical recruiter, and they brought in somebody else. I was so excited because I was like, ooh, I've never been trained by anyone. I've never been trained to do my job. I just realized that nobody's ever trained me to do any of the job.
See, that's what we're here for. We're here for the psychology, and we'll send
Yeah,
you our
an epiphany.
psychological invoice will be in the mail.
Yeah,
But it's
don't
so
get
true, right? Like
yeah, I've never been trained.
sometimes, yeah, I've met a lot of people that they're like, I really believe in training partly because I got none. And maybe it's generational, like, or maybe it's just the organizations we were at are at a certain maturity level, right? But a lot of times you just have to figure it out. And sometimes you wind up going down the wrong roads a bunch of times to know what the right road is. And then you're like,
Oh,
I want to
definitely.
make sure that new people that we hire, like, don't waste so much time going down the wrong road. So let's get that training
Yeah.
documented and formalized and relayed to them in a way that'll resonate with them.
Yes. I mean, I just realized that nobody trained me, but I did have enough trust with that person, or who was making decisions about promoting me, that they saw something in me that they thought we could work out. Now, when I got it, what I do with it is what I do with it, right? I just need
Right.
me. I was always like, just give me a door, just open a crack for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start at the bottom. I'll wash the dishes. I'll do whatever you need me to, and I will. But see, I don't stop there. I'm not trying to make the best dish. I'm just trying to learn. And what that taught me was learn how to wash the dish. Then you learn how to cook. Then you learn how to serve, and you learn how to waitress. And you move out of that. Maybe you buy your own restaurant. You never know, right? But those things are valuable lessons. And so even when I look back on all the things that I've had to go through, the tough, very, very tough times. I don't want to make light of it at all because it was hard, but it taught me so many things: patience, integrity, how to seek out the best in other people, right? How to not judge, right? Just take time and just, hey, talk to folks. I still do that today. It doesn't matter what your station is. I can talk to anyone. Any.
So That's really important. So what I sense is you're explaining that curiosity is really key, right?
Yes.
Establishing trust, and
Yes.
and acting consistent with your words, right? Those are fundamental life lessons that really have a place in the workforce.
And guess how you do
Because,
that, though? Guess how you
right,
do it is be yourself.
yeah. And
Be
there's no, there's books, like we all know them, like there's no elevator to the top. Like, this isn't about money, because even if you could buy your way into great education and go in and do and come in at a certain level, you can't succeed in that role without those things, right? You
right.
still have to walk the walk, and you still have to have your actions consistent with your words, and you still have to be curious and ask about all of those different aspects, so that way you are prepared to succeed in
Yep.
that, when that door opens and you get the chance to sit in that seat.
Yep. How would they even know, if you don't do the job that you're in well? Like, do the job that you're in well, and somebody will see that. But you are learning valuable things even if you don't think you are. Like,
Right. And then be curious and ask questions. And to
yeah,
me, it's always a red flag when I've got a team member or I've got somebody in an organization that just, it doesn't seem curious. Like
yeah,
they don't.
I'm curious. It's how I even like,
Yeah.
CEO. I'm a CEO now. Yeah, I know you know that, but I part of that job is driving sales, right?
Right.
I was a VP of business development before, so been on sales teams before, run sales teams before. But my approach, and this is what I tell all the AEs who will even listen to me and that have gone to conferences together, my approach is just simple curiosity. I
Mm-hmm.
really am listening because I am curious about that person. How did they come up with that idea? Like, what has their life been like? And how do they, and so I ask
Yeah.
a lot of questions. And so I go to a lot of pitch competitions just because of what we do, that customized software development, because I'm truly interested to hear what they're doing. But I'm not there to sell. I'm there to start and build relationships and have a conversation. And I will always find a commonality between us or something that I'm curious about that I want to show some or I want to ask somebody. And that is how you start conversations. And usually I'm just like LinkedIn and like, hey, I am literally sitting here listening to your pitch. You're doing a great job. I feel so inspired. And then I might have a question about something that you're doing. But I don't, it's never like, ooh, we can help you. I don't know if I can help you. I don't know if you even need me, but I do know that I'm very interested in what you're doing. And I want to continue to talk about that thing. And that thing might be turn out to be nothing, or it might turn out to be something that I can help you with. And this is where the help first comes from. That's help first. It's like, I'm not looking at you to sell anything. I'm looking to see, one, naturally curious about what you're doing. Secondly, is there something I can do to help? Because I really do want to help you achieve your goals. And we talk to people on the spectrum, are like people who are trying to pitch their ideas to people who already have their ideas and in their phase 2, 3, or whatever, in maintenance mode or whatever. And so we talk to a lot of different people, but the ones who have those ideas that they want to get across, and I want to help them get their idea off. And I feel a lot of
Right.
satisfaction along with the teams that are at our organization. I feel a lot of satisfaction in helping them do that. And that is like our help. That is how we come up with that help first, that heart. It's about people. People have ideas. People want to be successful. It's about people, and people want to be helpful too.
Yeah. And I've found it seems, I'm noticing in what you're telling me that, um, you really believe that, like, when people are approaching new business opportunities, they need to be interested, not focus on trying to be interesting.
Yes.
I think so often in the sales and marketing, so many people are just trying to be interesting. They're like, well, let me tell you about this, and like they'll try and like, let me put a joke in there, let me do this, and it's like none of that really makes the client, the ultimate customer, connect with you, right? Or the investor, right?
No.
It's about your interest in them and what they're doing. And that then drives and builds trust.
Yeah, and it has to be authentic, right? Like that's what I'm
Right.
saying. It comes all the way from me being able to show up like like myself, like just as I am. And I don't want to have problems sleeping at night, so I don't lie to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have trouble, and I don't want to keep up with any lies or any whatever. I am so it was probably one of the most shocking things that happened at Ackland is that, the Latin American people are beautiful, patient, and kind folks, and they really do appreciate the hierarchy. They will respect it, right? So for a long time, I was getting referred to as Jefecita, and I did not like it because that is not what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create you guys are smart, intelligent people. You think for yourself. And if you have a different opinion than my own, you have to tell me because we have, like, I literally turn it around to all of us are depending on us to be honest with what we see and what we do so that we don't go down the wrong road because there's 100 and 200, lives or whatever that depends on their livelihood for it. So at the top, it makes sense to me to always be that way because you'll only get the best ideas from the pushback, from that attitude of helping people first and not going out to fail first. Being curious. And then if we have something that can help you, then we definitely have a natural, affinity for each other. So it's just much easier that way. And we have it's taken some years since I've come here to create that environment of being completely honest, even if I'm the boss. Just say it. And it's a lot of work on my part too, because I make sure that I have other sessions with people that I don't get access to all the time, or all of our staff aug members that are working on client sites or on our teams, of people that are working on our teams, and they're all in different locations. But I take the time to meet with them and talk to them because they have to, like, I can say it, but they have to see it. Like, they have to see it. So I could say it all day, but if they actually see it and if they actually try it and then they see what the response is a positive response, then they'll continue to do so and they'll tell everybody else, nope, I actually had an opposing opinion to the CEO and she was totally fine with it. Matter of fact, she changed her mind because I can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's being honest, right?
Yeah. I don't lead by
It's
myself.
right.
I lead with all 200 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so often people come with almost like a bias, like they have their view, and you feel in leadership that your role is to convince everybody else to have your view, and then what you build around you is an echo chamber, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just going to say yes to everything that you want, and it's like that's not really great leadership, right? Like a lot of times we're human, and sometimes the leader is seeing what they see and they don't necessarily see what's actually happening in the marketplace or whatever, right? Because they're not there every day. So like
I have
being
worked
able
with
to have
CEOs.
differing opinions and being able to hear it out and go, you know what, maybe I stand corrected. Maybe I need to pivot
Oh,
the
I've
approach.
I've been stood corrected many times
Yeah.
because the more information you get, the more honest feedback you get, the more honest opinions you get, will help me
Yeah.
make a decision to the right decision versus the other way around just because I have a feeling. Like, I'm not a magician. I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot
Right.
see into the future. And I say this to my senior leadership team, but I'll say it to any team. I do not run this company all by myself. It is from the inputs and the information sharing and the honest opinions and the discord sometimes that helps us make right decisions that moves us forward. It is not me. Matter of fact, like when people have where I'm being asked to talk, I make sure that I'm doing shout outs to my senior leadership team because they're amazing. They're amazing because we all have different personalities. They're not the same. Even like when I'm hiring new people, I actually say, am I have an unconscious bias? Because I might like that person's personality because it's like mine, very boisterous and out there, right? Or their leadership style is. But what I have to do is sit back and go, I need to make sure I'm not hiring clones because I need
Right.
the alt
Yeah.
perspectives to make us better and sharper. And so I really go through those questionings when I'm like, oh, I really like this one over this one or that one. It's like, nope, bring those right up front, right up front, because I need to make sure I'm making the right decisions. And I listen a lot to the rest of the team. So
That's
it worked
fantastic.
so far.
Yeah. Seems to be working, whatever
It
you're
worked so
doing.
far.
So
We've
that's
had
great.
huge initiatives, right? That, you
Well,
can't.
that's what I wanted to ask you because how has the integration of AI. I mean, if you're in the software development, you see it probably firsthand more than anybody.
Yes.
Like, how is Ackland kind of addressing the infusion of AI and agile software delivery? Like, how are
Yeah.
you guys dealing with that?
Yes. Listen, a year ago, I walked into an innovation conference hosted by the NTC. I'm on the board with the National Tech Conference. Not, I said National Tech Conference, but you know what I'm saying. Um, the chamber or the Nashville Technology. I don't know why I'm forgetting the C, but I'm on NTC's board. Um,
It's okay. It's like
they,
a
I know. I was like,
consortium
why
or
am I drawing a
council
blank?
or something. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, thank you. They hosted an innovation summit that year, and I walked into that innovation summit thinking that I was behind in AI, and I'm very very I don't know the word that I would use, but I'm always like we have to pivot at the right time, not too early, not too late. So I'm always looking and listening to the market and finding out what's going on out there and what are people pivoting to. And so, of course, AI is the big thing. It was a big thing a year ago. It's still big. But I walked into that conference thinking I was behind. I walked out of that conference knowing that I wasn't behind. So what we did was we immediately created an innovation uh, committee. From the innovation committee came the sub AI committee. And how we approached the AI within the AI subcommittee, we approached it internally first. How could we create more efficiencies? We made it real like, hey, we want to give you guys these tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, let's test some stuff. And the assignment was everybody start using these tools and you figure out how to make yourselves more efficient. This is not to replace yourself. This is to say, how can you do your job faster so that you can go on and do the stuff after that? And that was the approach that we took. The outcomes, though, that we got were we built our own internal timekeeping system and let an old one go. We're now working on agents internally for ourselves and getting opportunities externally for that. We are creating an AI team that will help our internal teams that are working at client sites to help them figure out what their next AI steps are. Because think about how concerned and kind of I didn't really have a path that I was a year ago trying to figure out what is my path that I need to take. And ours, along with our help first mentality, is we're going to help you figure out how to use AI to make yourselves more efficient, just like we did. And
Yeah, that's
there were
phenomenal.
huge concerns about is it going to replace it? Are we going to use? Yes, we're going to use it in coding. Yes, we're going to code faster. Yes, we're going to build and connect data because essentially that's what it is we're connecting data. But you know, we know that uncertainty doesn't stick with just us. Other companies, our clients are feeling the same uncertainty. So I want to be able to help them work through it the way that we did and find out how we can. Like, just come with your problems. The biggest thing that Ackland does is we like show up with your problems or your dreams, your hopes. What do you want to do? And we're going to help you figure out that path. And that's what we're really great in is getting those teams together that helps us do that. We're doing the same thing now. That is our approach to our client is like, let us help you with the uncertainty of the direction that you need to go by a real need, not by just selling you something. It's like, let us figure that out. What is it that you need to be faster at? What is it that you are feeling like you can automate? Like, just really kind of uncovering that. That's the direction that we've decided to dip our toe in for. And it makes complete sense with what we're doing today. Like, it's not it's a remix. I'm literally doing a talk in next Thursday at the same conference to talk about how we shifted and what does it look like today? How did we do it? The first thing was explaining innovation to people because there's just when you say innovation, people are like, "What is it? We got to go do something brand new." No, we already have the core things that we can do to now integrate into AI and then offer something to our clients. So that's how we're
What a fascinating arc, too. You went into there a year or two ago not knowing
not
where you
like
should be in AI, and now you get to present on it and how you're approaching it.
how we approached it. You know what was shocking is, and I did a lot of like off like sessions that were kind of really smaller sessions. I was the only CEO there, and they had cited we were like when they found out I was the CEO there last year, they were like, "We've never seen any C levels come in here and ask the questions that you're asking."
Really?
Yes, I was shocked too because I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
well,
surprised by that.
when I want to know something, I'm going to go find out about it. I'm not going to
Right.
ask somebody to go do it and report back to me. This was very important to me, and so I got to hear the perspectives of other people, which actually craft how I should think about it.
Right.
Like, and so it's like these are actual people developing who would be impacted, who need AI, but they can't get it because their senior leadership hasn't really spent the time to figure it out. Like all of those things really, really helped me to leave there with a very clear picture about how I wanted to proceed. And then I went to my team and I pulled out people who were naturally curious around AI, most of which is my CFO, who does it on his own time. And I asked him to be in charge of the AI subcommittee. And he's done a fantastic job with our vision of rolling it out and even making it better because we've also been able to train on certain software, or certain AI tools. We've been able to train internally to take them out now to the client. So it's just worked really well, but not without me being in those meetings and going in with curiosity and also listening and being open to how other people feel about it when maybe their own C levels don't know how they feel.
Right. That's
It's
phenomenal.
a whole gain for me. It was a fantastic event. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking there and kind of sharing. Here's where I was. Here's what we did. Here's where we are. So
That's
hopefully that helps
outstanding.
somebody else to figure it out.
Yeah. So, tell us as we wrap up today, because I think that I could talk to you for hours. So, what's on the horizon for Eckland? Like, what are you? You've mentioned a couple big initiatives. Obviously, AI is going to be a big one. What is on the horizon for 2026 for you guys?
It's definitely going to have a lot of AI focus because to me this past year has really been um, research development, figuring out what's what, right? What there are the things that we should focus on. And now I think in 2026, we get to roll that out, not like to our clients. So we've already started kind of talking to our clients. I'm making a tour at the end of the year to every client site to talk to them about this and kind of explain here's how we can help. And they've already experienced our whiteboard experience. It's kind of very similar to that, but a little bit deeper, a little bit more high level. Like some of it's going to be like high level thinking about like what do you think we could do, and then bringing it down into like more tactical things. But definitely going to be AI. An AI influence for us is going to be pretty big, and like sharing that with our clients, and then still applying a help first kind of mentality to help them be more successful. That is our only thing, is to help these companies be more successful. That's it. So past that, we're going to continue to, like, we have our agile development teams that are already put together, already there. We have our staff aug, which is not just doing the nearshore recruitment, but also permanent placements for the US, consulting, things like that. So like that's the thing, is we have a very solid foundational, with our services. We're figuring out to pull in AI not only to help us internally be faster. Our TA team is using AI now to where it took them hours to format things and resumes to get off. They've done it in minutes. Like we're just going to continue as we continue to see those efficiencies within. We're able to share them in case studies without our outward, not without, but outward. So AI is definitely our highlight of our menu for next year.
That's absolutely phenomenal. And one thing I noticed in terms of your trust and your leadership is you didn't start out by saying, oh, yeah, well, AI seems to be going for coders. So what we're trying to do is maximize profit and reduce personnel just leveraging AI. You're explaining to your team, right? No, what we're going to do is we're going to leverage AI. We are, but we're going to do the mundane things faster so that you can do more strategic things and
Yes.
make a bigger impact on the client.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
who doesn't want to hear that as an employee, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great approach to it, because when it's done right, that's really the way it should be used, right?
Yes. I know what it feels like to have somebody come and tell me what I'm going to do. And I don't do
Hmm.
that. I want to know, what do you think we should do? And then bring it down to where one thing that you don't want when you're making these types of, like you have these types of initiatives, you do not want to make people feel like they are marginalized or not important, or their opinions
Exactly.
don't matter, or or now they're being now. So what happens if you do it that way? They're going to then retreat or go look for another job. And really, we framed it like, you're going to help us figure this out, because I want you to look within your own situation and tell us what you find. We'll case study that out, right? They all did it. They all did it. I have fantastic people that work at Ackland. They all did that because they didn't feel threatened, because they didn't feel like we were just going to do a wide sweep and it was all about profit. I'll tell you
Well,
something.
and you're not alone in that. I mean, like Simon Sinek in his TED Talks, I mean, he talks about it all the time. And he explains, like, when you go into a sales team, right? And you go, if you're not going to hit your numbers, not sure what the future is going to be. Okay, well, guess what's going to happen? Like, they're humans. What's going to happen is they're going to check out. They're going to start looking. You're going to have a ton of attrition. And they're not, because nobody wants to be in an environment that's unsafe, right?
Right.
They feel at any moment they're going to manage by spreadsheet and go, oh, well, we could save this money, or we could do this, or whatever, as opposed to, you've been really strong here. Now you're not. What's going on? And you're interested in what the read, because the odds are there's a story behind that. There's a legitimate reason. They have family issues, or they need this, or whatever. Maybe the answer is take some PTO, reset your brain and your mind, and come back and be the person you were before, right?
Absolutely.
And give them that shot, right? And I've done that with teams and found, like, oh my God, they're back. Like, I don't know, like, how did you do that? I'm like, I gave them a week off. Like, I don't know what I did. I just said, you seem burned out, like, take a week. And that's all they needed sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Everyone
it's,
at Ackland gets the last, like, it's a week off at the end of the year, but we also have like unlimited for, our FTEs.
yeah,
But regardless of whether what's in the policy,
right,
if you need time,
right.
take it. Because I'm more like, I will tell you this, because I feel like my team will listen to this and be like, she doesn't take her own advice. I have a harder time taking my own advice.
Well, yeah, that's different, because the leaders sometimes, like, and
Yeah,
even if they're gone, they're like at the beach on the phone answering
yes,
emails. You're like, would you please turn off, right?
yes.
Like,
But I will encourage my SLT to take off and turn off, and I will not bother them as much as possible, but I do not require that of myself. But
mhm.
across all the way down, all the way across our org, everybody knows family first. Family comes first, because you don't get that time back. And you know how I know that? Is because when I had my kids, I had to work 3 jobs. So
Right,
I regret that I had to miss those times that I don't get back. But I'm also at a space now where I don't want anybody to experience that. So
right,
I don't want it to become from me. And I remember my boss telling me, it's too bad. You need to be here. And you need to be here,
right.
regardless if I miss my kids' game. I will never,
Yeah,
ever, ever say that.
yeah, exactly.
Never. They
Yeah,
need
I started work a long time ago, and I think the first three bosses I had were all like that. They're like, don't care that your family's in the hospital, whatever. You got to show up Monday. You got to be, and you're like, okay. And you're like, man, you know what
Yep.
I mean? Like, I never want, when I get there, I never want to do that to somebody.
But that is what fuels my leadership, is what I've experienced. How I don't like, now I'm in the role where I get to determine how I want to treat people and how they should be
Yeah,
treated.
you get to
And I
set the
take,
pace of the culture,
yes,
right? You
I
get
take
to,
all of those past experiences and I apply them every day. Every
that's
day, because
fantastic.
I will be in very stressful situations. And I manage my ego, because I know that that can kill you. If you just are like, hey, well, I got to be this, or I never, like, I'm like, I know when it does flare, I know it. And I'm like, okay, calm it down. Okay.
Hmm.
I need to look at this a different way. I have had leaders, they've taught me how to be better leaders, because, there are
Yeah,
things I did not, I feel like I never got from any of them that I'm hopefully giving to other people.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Stephanie, thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you.
We appreciate everybody listening in, and we'll have links to Ackland in the show notes. And we wish you guys the best, and we'll check in with you as you develop AI, and we will be watching. So thank you so much for your time.